All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a situation on our hands. This is Joe Brianna once again, the Fullerton Informer, coming to you live from the streets of Orange County, sunny Southern California, and it's a Monday morning. And we've got a situation on our hands, ladies and gentlemen, where we've got something that is really tantamount to the unthinkable happening. They've got mosquitoes carrying flesh-eating bacteria in Australia, folks. Now, it's no mystery that certain countries are under attack, and for good reason, folks, and for good reason, okay? Because the problem with some of these countries is they're too close to the ice ring, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? They're too close to Antarctica. And they have been slated for depopulation, folks. We had a guest on last night talking about 1080, which is a pesticide that they're using in New Zealand right now. And they've been using it for quite some time. This pesticide, they claim, breaks down into organic compounds in water. You know, they're saying that this sodium fluoroacetate is just the salt form of a naturally occurring poison. Well, you know, that's half truth, folks, because the 1080, the sodium fluoroacetate that's being dumped all over New Zealand, is the salt form of a poison. It's a poison that's found in plant leaves that is a natural deterrent from animals to eat them. But I don't know about you, but I know what plants not to eat, okay? And animals do too, for the most part. But when you grind up a plant extract powder in highly concentrated form, and you add it in with a bunch of carrot and grain meal, that's not the salt form of a naturally occurring poison. That's a manipulated form of a plant extract that's designed to kill. And I want to talk to you about what they did in New Zealand, folks, because this is really, really, really scary. Okay? They've been dumping 1080, which is sodium fluoroacetate pellets, out of helicopters for several decades in New Zealand. And even 20 years ago, when they were looking into this, they were studying what happens to this pesticide, and they claim it's biodegradable. Yeah, they say it breaks down in water and the soil, and yet the only studies on sodium fluoroacetate's breakdown in the soil was done in 1966, and it yielded inconclusive evidence of full biodegrading of this poison because of the properties of fluoroacetate. Once it becomes so-called biodegradable, it ends up binding with other stuff, folks. The stuff doesn't go away. They're lying. They've been lying about everything, folks. They're depopulating New Zealand because it's a little too close to the Antarctic Illuminati nightclub hub for the human sacrifice cartel, okay? And we know what's going on down there. We know that the ice ring around the Earth has a tremendous amount of land. They've got all kinds of secret installations there. They're probably renditioning kids for their human sacrifice services. And in the meantime, you know, YouTube is shadow banning this channel, blocking a bunch of people from watching the videos. And look, folks, now they got these mosquitoes in Australia. They got these mosquitoes in Australia, folks, that are carrying necrotizing bacteria. You know, the kind that eat up your skin? You get these mosquito bites and all of a sudden you got flesh-eating bacteria going. Okay, what's up with this, folks? Well, I spoke at length on several videos about about what's going on with the mosquitoes and how the mosquitoes have been genetically engineered and how they're being introduced. These invasive species are being trucked in and flown in and released all over the place. Even though the Vector Control Agency in Orange County seems to think that they're breeding in the storm drains, well, I beg to differ. I think they're being released. I think they've been released. I think they're being bred. I think they're being genetically modified. And here's the deal, folks. They are the perfect vector to carry anything they want to insert in these things. You can't find a better weapon than a mosquito, folks. If you can infect, if you can raise a bunch of mosquitoes and infect them with whatever you want and turn them loose, think about this, ladies and gentlemen. When is the last time a mosquito asked you permission to inject you with something? When is the last time you gave your permission to mosquitoes to inject your bloodstream with something? Well, they don't need your permission, folks. And these mosquitoes that they've released all over the United States, these mosquitoes that they've bred and released all over the United States, these mosquitoes that they've brought in from the tropics, that they've genetically modified, that they've bred and they've released all over the United States, these mosquitoes that don't belong here, that they brought from the tropics, these invasive mosquitoes that they've bred, that they've brought in from the tropics, ladies and gentlemen, they've brought these things in. They brought these things in, ladies and gentlemen, and they now have been able to insert them with gene drives, or they've added these Wolbachia bacteria into their into their genome. And look, folks, it isn't hard. It isn't that much of a stretch. Hear me on this. It isn't that much of a stretch to lace these things up with flesh-eating bacteria, or anything else for that matter. They've done it. They've got the right weapon in place. They've gotten us to accept that the weapon is here. They've gotten us to accept the fact that even though they don't belong here, they're still living here and breeding here. Yeah, they've managed, folks. They've managed to get us to accept. It's unbelievable. They've managed to get us to accept what's going on, okay? They've managed to get us to accept what is going on with these mosquitoes, folks. And I'm going to tell you something. The reason they've managed to get us to accept this is because the plan is to manage to get us to accept getting sprayed. That's the plan, folks. The plan is eventually to spray us. Now, I had a conversation with the science guy from Orange County's Vector Control Agency last Tuesday night at the City Council meeting. And towards the end of our discussion, he led me on to a little bit of information. And that is, I believe the name is TBI or THBI or something. It's a type of bacteria. And they're going to be releasing this bacteria all over the place because it selectively kills mosquitoes based on their gut pH. Because they have a different type of pH in their gut than we do. So this bacteria is going to kill off these mosquitoes. Did you hear what I just said, folks? This bacteria that they've discovered in Israel, or should I say maybe they've genetically modified or genetically engineered out of Israel, is going to be sprayed over the United States to deal with the mosquito problem. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to be releasing a biological agent on us, ostensibly to kill mosquitoes, folks. This flesh-eating bacteria that's showing up in Australia is a major, major red flag, folks. Okay? Because I got to ask y'all a question. How come the flesh-eating bacteria ain't eating the mosquito? How come it's nice and safe, tucked away in a nice little compartment that gets to get carried around and injected into people? If you don't understand what's about to be done to us, then I suggest you wake up. Everybody that's listening to the sound of my voice, and I know what's happening is there's a lot of censorship going on out there, and you know, people have emailed me. By the way, my email is joeandbrianna777@gmail.com. People have emailed me, and what they've tried to do is share the videos. The link doesn't load. They can't post it on Facebook. Look, folks, just keep telling everybody what's going on. We know that there are people that don't want this information out, because the only way these kind of plans can succeed is if everybody if everybody stays asleep and allows them. These people in New Zealand are letting them drop these pellets all over the place. There haven't been studies on 1080 soil effects since 1966, and yet the government continues to dump tens of thousands of pounds of this stuff out of helicopters all the time, folks. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable, folks. If you think this is going to stop in New Zealand, you got another thing coming. Look, they've got the whole setup down there in Christchurch. They've got this, Christchurch, New Zealand. There's an airport that runs the Antarctic flights, and the plane's got no windows, folks. Big old jet aircraft, no windows on the thing. How come there's no windows on the airplane that goes to Antarctica? How come that is? And what's down there? And why is it so difficult to go to Antarctica? Why is it like this total Area 51? What the heck are they hiding? What are they doing down there? You know, I'll tell you what they're doing down there, folks. They're hiding the firmament. They're hiding the proof that the dome exists. They're hiding the proof that God exists. And they're hiding all their satanic ritual chambers and their little devil-worshipping facilities down there where they're renditioning human sacrifice victims. That's a fact, folks. That's what they're into. They've never stopped shedding blood. The Illuminati's still into bloodshed and ritual sacrifice. And if you don't believe me, well, they'll kind of give you an inkling as to what they're up to. Just turn on the halftime show at the Super Bowl, and you will see an Illuminati ritual every single time. And the symbolism is extremely rich, and it's in your face. And you know, you're going to have, you know, hundreds of millions of people sitting there watching it and going ooh and ah. Now I know, you know, most of the men, they're drinking beer and high-fiving each other on the couch with all their buddies, and they got their lips wrapped around the bong, and the women are in the kitchen making sure there's plenty of Funyuns and sour cream dip, and, you know, making sure that they go to the liquor store because the beer's running out. But the whole time that halftime ritual's going, people are watching it. It's how they operate, folks, right in your face. It's not a joke. All this stuff is real. Okay? And every time they tell you, oh, we just found this bug, oh, we just found this rat. First of all, you got to question, did they bring the bugs in? I mean, these mosquitoes, Vector Control admits they only travel 300 feet. That's their range. Okay? They can barely get off the ground. They're so small. And when there's a lot of humidity and the air's heavy, they don't do that well. So how is it that these mosquitoes managed to cross the Pacific Ocean or go thousands of miles and end up in my frickin' backyard? How is it possible? And how is it possible that in Orange County, California, with all of the technology we have, you know, they got cameras all over the place, and cell towers everywhere, and, you know, everybody's got Wi-Fi, and everybody's got these sensors all over their cars and cameras all over their house. And the Vector Control Agency can't find out where the mosquitoes are coming from. They can't figure out where these mosquitoes are breeding. They don't know. Well, maybe it's because they're not breeding here, folks, and they're not finding the breeding source because the breeding source isn't here. The breeding source is in a government laboratory somewhere. So they're setting up Orange County. They had 1 or 2 West Nile cases this year, and so they've decided to poison the whole county for 1 or 2 cases of West Nile. Now, I feel sorry for the guy that ended up in a wheelchair, and I certainly wouldn't want to end up in a wheelchair. But see, here's the deal, folks. You know, I don't eat a box of See's candy for breakfast and drink 20 beers a day and eat a bunch of Hot Pockets. And I don't, you know, go through my whole life spending every other weekend at the doctor's office walking around with sunglasses on staring at a 50-foot smart TV like my neighbors do. And that's how you get sick. That's how you get immunocompromised. Because all these people, they're all jacked up on the pills that the doctor tells them to take. And, you know, they go to Costco and fill their carts with all this frozen food that they stick in a microwave. And all of their beverage consumption consists of caramel coloring and phosphoric acid, artificial flavor, artificial color, sucralose, aspartame, caffeine, and some other embryonic derivatives that have been made from aborted fetal tissue, those flavor enhancers they put in these beverages. Yeah, you know, the Diet Joke or the Pepsi, that's what people drink, and so they're sick. And so when a bug bites them, they collapse. because they're too lazy to bend over and pull a weed, so they spray their whole yard with Roundup. That's right, they got glyphosate all over their yard. They got Diet Coke flowing through their veins. They got Wi-Fi beaming through their bodies. And they got pills pumping through their veins. And they got sugar just flying through their digestive tract 24/7. There's donuts on the table and cookies in the cupboard, and there's just all kinds of frosting all over everything. And all these women are feeding these kids a bunch of Lunchables and Uncrustables and all the I know I get off track here, but I gotta be honest with you folks. Every time I go to the store, I'm seeing a new creation that is filling up the landfill with more cartoon faces on it. And I can't even figure out what the hell is inside it, because it's covered with these like these animated cartoon caricature drawings, and it's made out of this gigantic Oscar Mayer plastic box. What in the world is going on with people that they have to buy prepackaged poison in plastics that are filling up the landfills? And then they send these kids to these schools where they're supposed to be environmentally conscious, and they're bringing these throwaway plastic boxes. I mean, and what's inside these things? Well, little cubes of sodium nitrite laced luncheon meat that's made out of pink slime and reconstituted guts and bones and poop from these dead chickens and pigs. I mean, it's disgusting. And they put an Oreo in there and a Capri Sun in there with a BPA liner on the Capri Sun. I mean, no wonder why everybody's getting sick. And so, if you end up in a wheelchair from a mosquito bite, I have to say, folks, that I feel sorry for you, but at the same time, what did you do to put yourself there? Okay? And it's not my problem that you want to abuse yourself and not take care of your health, and then when you get sick, everybody gets to get poisoned. No! But that's what's going on in Orange County. You get one person a year who knows, they won't tell us what the medical history of the person is. And you know what, if you're immunocompromised and you're on steroids, then go live in a place where you don't have to be exposed to the common cold and everything else. I'm not heartless, folks, but when you start making laws where you're going to spray toxic chemicals over millions of people because one person got sick, that's a bunch of bullshit. Okay? And that's what's going on in Orange County. They can't find the source of the mosquitoes, and yet they're going to spray these neighborhoods because they found somebody that got tested positive. Okay? No. Look, folks, we got to fight this. They got this stuff going in Australia right now where there's they got this flesh-eating bacteria in the mosquitoes. How to get there? Since when do mosquitoes carry flesh-eating bacteria? And how long can flesh-eating bacteria carrying mosquitoes survive? How long can this cycle continue? Because check this out. If these mosquitoes are biting animals and they got flesh-eating bacteria, how long do you think it's going to be before the host that carries the microbe disappears? You see, folks, this is a scam. This is a setup. This is to get you to freak out. Those of you who are listening to me in Australia, this is to get people in Australia to freak out, to accept any level of toxic dumping of pesticides or pellets or whatever else they got planned. And quarantines and blood tests and everything else. If you look at a flat earth map, ladies and gentlemen, it's funny because when you look at the countries that are closest to the ice wall, isn't it amazing how they're all Masonic and Illuminati and British controlled? Look at South Africa, and you look at Argentina, and you look at Australia, you look at New Zealand, you look at all the you just look how it's all locked down. All those countries, it doesn't make any sense how the people that are running those places are running those places, but they're running those places. And what's happening is a destruction of the indigenous people. In New Zealand, really hardy group of people, really rugged individualists living off the land. They don't want to live in the city, folks. They want to grow their own food. They want to go hunting, go fishing, go hang out. A beautiful place to walk around and explore nature and live. They're taking that away, folks. They want everybody crammed into a compact city, eating their food out of a cardboard box, sitting under an LED lamp next to a Y-gig access point, a Wi-Fi router, a smart TV, turning them into an idiot as they pump them full of vaccines. That's right. That's what they're doing. Instead of these people out in the beautiful countryside, having fresh fruits and vegetables and fresh meat, they're getting everybody ready to lock them all up and poison them. That's what they're doing, folks. And how do they do that? Well, they kill off all their food supply, because that's what's happening in New Zealand. Okay? New Zealand has they've got their 5G, folks. They got that stuff getting all rolled out. They got the LED street lights going in. And imagine you lived in a place where anywhere you went, 10 miles inland was just this beautiful countryside with running water and lakes and mountains. It's all national park. And there's animals all over the place, and birds and fish. And imagine the government's flying around helicopters poisoning everything. So, how would you like to take your kids up to the lake and go fishing, and then, you can't eat the fish, son, because they're all poisoned. And then how would you like to be, stuck out in the wild and all these rivers everywhere, and you can't drink the water because it's full of poison? Well, that's what they've done in New Zealand, ladies and gentlemen. That's what they've done. And the people are accepting it. I don't know why they're anesthetized to the point of not rebelling against this, but I know this, that if somebody came to my house with a truck and they started spraying chemical pesticides on my property, first of all, I would not let them up the street. I'd block the street off. And second of all, I would make sure that they do not come on my property. And third of all, I would make sure that whatever they're spraying on my property ends up blown right back in their freaking face. Okay? And there would be no way in hell I would let them destroy my flora and fauna on my property when they're the ones releasing weaponized vectors and disease, folks. And we got to call them out. We got to call them out on staging epidemics, staging outbreaks, bringing in invasive mosquitoes. Look, folks, the parent company of Google and YouTube is involved in genetically modifying mosquitoes. What does the parent company of Google and YouTube have any business doing weaponizing mosquitoes? Does that occur to you? That they're up to something, folks? This is the time for all of us to wake up. And you know what? Oh yeah, they can't arrest us all. They can't put everybody in jail. Here's the problem. You're all a bunch of freaking cowards. Okay? The problem is, everybody sits back on their couch and waits for somebody else to do something. And then the minute one person steps out of line, they snatch them up and lock them up. And if all of us said hell no, they wouldn't be able to get away with this because there's more of us than them. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take. I mean, they're going to keep spraying everybody. They're going to keep bringing out disease. We got this caravan of illness heading our way. I don't know why people are making such a big deal out of this caravan coming from Honduras. I mean, George Soros, he's always moving, groups of people around, whether it's, Antifa protesters or illegal aliens or, Million Mom March or whatever to kill their babies and turn your guns in. Whatever it is, it's the same song and dance. We got 5,000 people a day jumping the fence already. Why are they worried about this group? Why are they making such a big deal out of it? We've been getting invaded at the southern border for decades. I live in Southern California. They're everywhere here. Trump's not doing anything about it. He's not going to do anything about this either, but I'll tell you what. You watch. You watch the caravan get here, and they're going to bring with it some disease that they're going to release and blame on them. That's right. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, because the caravan coming from Honduras is actually the caravan that's going to bring in the disease that the government's going to release, the disease X that's coming, so they can forcibly vaccinate everybody, when in reality, they're just going to be turning on the frequencies a little bit higher power on these towers to make everybody sick. That's what's coming, folks. That's right. You see, people are going to get sick from the cell towers because they're going to crank up the power. How many of you out there have some sort of device that can measure radio frequency radiation? How many of you out there have a device that can measure how much electromagnetic energy is coming off of those cell towers? But you got them in your backyards. That's right. And how many of you understand what vector control is doing between 2 and 5 a.m.? You know, I asked the guy, you got these mosquitoes that bite during the day, and yet you're spraying them at night? What are you doing? The only way this pesticide is going to kill mosquitoes is if it lands on their wings if they're in flight. Well, if these mosquitoes are all hunkered down, asleep in their bunkers in the storm drains, what the hell is the spraying going to do at 2 o'clock in the morning? Think about this, folks. The mosquitoes are in bed at 2 in the morning, under the storm drains. What good does it do spraying people's backyards? It doesn't work, folks. It doesn't work. People are going to start getting really sick, and it's going to be from this chemical spraying. It's going to be from the cell towers. And, of course, they put out some hot lots in the vaccines. Now they got stuff in the shots making people sick. And now we got this mysterious polio-like disease that I've talked about at length for the entire week last week. Still no answers from the high priests of petrochemical poison medicine, allopathic doctors, pill-pushing pimps in white coats, pushing poison on us, telling us to take these shots, telling us that these vaccines are safe and effective when they've never been tested for impairment of fertility, mutagenic or carcinogenic potential. But hey, trust me, I'm a doctor, right? Give me a break. Give me a break, folks. This is unbelievable. We're going into winter in North America, and there's still mosquitoes up the yin-yang everywhere. Where are they coming from? Where are they breeding? Why are they being released? Why are weaponized mosquitoes being developed by Google and YouTube's parent company, Alphabet? Think about this, folks. Why are they inserting gene drives in mosquitoes? Why are they working on biological agents to spray on us? Why are they doing this to New Zealand? Why is flesh-eating bacteria showing up in the mosquitoes in Australia? Well, here's the deal. The ice ring around the circle of the earth, and you got to wake up to the fact that we're not on a spinning ball, folks. I got a science project for all of you out there. All of you out there. Look at the Suez Canal, and you find me one iota of evidence there's any curvature in that canal that doesn't have one lock in it. It's as flat as a frickin' board, and look how long this is, and do some basic math on the supposed curvature of the earth and how the Suez Canal is flat, plumb level the whole way across the thing. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you where the curvature of the earth exists. It exists only in the textbooks in the classrooms, folks. It exists nowhere else. The curvature of the earth exists only in textbooks. And so they want no one believing that there is a firmament covering the earth, and they don't want anybody getting close to the ice ring. And of course, New Zealand's really close. So is Australia. So, you know, and while the Illuminati operatives and sex slaves and you know, all these demonic vile filth that run the media that are, you know, superstars because they've been chosen to be part of their ritualistic abuse system, they're building doomsday bunkers down in New Zealand, so they're killing off all the natives, folks. They're killing off all the food supply down there. They're basically doing what happened in the Garden of Eden once again, destroying paradise. You know, the devil never rests, folks. The nation of New Zealand is the closest thing to Garden of Eden you'll ever find anywhere on earth. And they're destroying it. They're poisoning it. That's right. They're poisoning it. And then the government's selling off all of its water to China and letting the country get raped and pillaged and plundered and poisoning its people. You see, folks, that's satanic. You see, folks, that's how the Masonic order operates. Ordab Chaob. You know, their god is Abaddon, the destroyer, Apollyon, the destroyer, Satan, Lucifer. They worship the frickin' devil! Who in the world would poison their own people and sell out their own country and let the nation get raped and poisoned and pillaged and plundered by a bunch of communists? New Zealand. That's what's going on. They don't want people getting too close to the firmament, folks. They don't want people proving that the earth has a dome over it, because you know what happens when that happens? And by the way, thank you, Joyce, for laminating my Bible. But because what this says, because this proves, the firmament proves the Bible's true. The Bible talks about the firmament, folks. The Bible talks about the earth being covered by a solid dome and water being above it. They don't want you to know it's there. They don't want anybody getting close enough. They want everybody in New Zealand sick and broke and dying and homeless. So they can't get enough middle-class money together to get some airplanes going and fly over and see what's over there. They don't want that, ladies and gentlemen. What they want those people doing is living in their vans. They want those people broke and destitute and full of neurotoxins and vaccines and pornography and junk food and booze and liquor and pills and dope. That's right. Just like all the special stuff they have for you in the United States as they fatten everybody up for the slaughter, folks. That's right. You got these 25-foot TV sets that make your living room look like an alien abduction taking place with that blue and white light at night that destroys your melatonin production, destroys your circadian rhythm. That's right, folks, because they're killing you. And they're killing people all over the world, but they're only doing it because you are allowing them to. I keep talking about the same things because I'm expecting it to sink in. I'm expecting this to sink in. Ladies and gentlemen, how come there are no flights over the South Pole? How come there are no commercial airline flights over the South Pole? Because there is no frickin' South Pole, folks. There is no South Pole. There's an ice ring that has tremendous amounts of land and natural resources on it. And I can only imagine these people that serve the devil, that realize they're trapped inside this dome and they can't get out. And they've been trying to nuke the dome. Remember when they were blowing up those nuclear devices, 100 miles up in the air? They were trying to break out of the thing. Remember Jim Morrison? The day divides the night and the night divides the day. You try to run, you try to hide, break on through to the other side. They were trying to do that. They're trying to break on through to the other side. They can't! They can't, folks. They can't break through it because God has ordained that the only door is Jesus Christ to get out. You got two destinations when you die, ladies and gentlemen. You go to heaven, and you go through the door, which is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ says, I am the door. Or you can serve the father of all lies and the murderer and the thief and the liar since the beginning, the devil. And he's got the Heartbreak Hotel that's on fire, folks. That's where he gets to spend eternity. You want to go hang out with that loser? Go right ahead. Keep playing your Britney Spears music and all this satanic kill yourself rap music, and keep popping all your drugs and snorting your oxys. Keep opening the doors. Keep playing those video games and keep watching all that Netflix crap and just keep opening the doorway to the devil. You don't have to climb the stairway to heaven, folks, because they've already laid out the highway to hell. And it's called Netflix and Disney Channel and ABC and Sumner Redstone's MTV. And all of these deniers of Jesus Christ media outlets that they've set up for you to suck your soul to hell, because that's who they serve. The devil. And I hope most of you managed to stay asleep in church yesterday, because I'm sure none of your pastors talked about this stuff. And I'm over here watching the F-16s take off out of Los Alamitos. I don't know if you can see this. You see that? See that, folks? We're going to war. There's 4. There's 3. There goes another one. Let me see. Are they lining up here? Boy, this is a rare moment, folks. I want you to listen to this. Can you see that? You see that, folks? Those are your tax dollars at work right there. I don't know if you got a chance to see that. Anyway, what we got going on right now is we're going to war, folks. And there's a lot of things going on. We got a situation where the United States is getting ready to be marched off to war. And, the stuff that's going on in Venezuela, stuff that's going on in Iran, the stuff that's going on over there. Look, folks. Look, guys, can you guys hear it? Can you guys hear me? I think they killed the feed when these things were taken off. Is it okay now? There's a whole bunch of these jet fighters taken off. I mean, these jets are literally shaking my car, folks. It's unbelievable. About 5 or 6 of these fighter jets just took off out of Los Alamitos. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of stuff going on the geopolitical front, folks. There's a lot of stuff going on the eugenics front. There's a lot of stuff going on everywhere, and they've got you staring at these gigantic TV sets, microwaving your cancer tumor meat. You know, you got your Farmer John. Hey, did I ever tell you the story about my buddy who worked at a meatpacking plant back in the old days? He worked at a meatpacking plant. You know, back in the old days, you could get a job right out of high school, make good money, and you didn't have to go to college and learn a bunch of useless freaking equations and a bunch of lies. And, he went straight to work at a meatpacking plant, and they would get these carcasses coming down, and some of these carcasses would come down and go into one bin, and another one would go into another. And the good stuff would go into the USDA choice and the prime, USDA prime meat or whatever. And other ones would go to like, hamburgers and stuff. And there was another bin, and he noticed these animals had these tumors on them, the size of like basketballs and, softballs and grapefruits. A lot of these animals had tumors, and so those would go into this other bin, and he asked, where do those go? Oh, those go to hot dogs and sausages. Ladies and gentlemen, do you like to put your high fructose corn syrup, artificial flavor, artificial color Aunt Jemima all over those Jimmy Deans? Do you like that? Do you like to eat tumors? Well, they got you loving it, folks. They got you loving it so much that now they've got frozen tumors in a box with fake maple syrup and aluminum and all kinds of metals that I don't want to go into this anymore, folks. I'm getting sick to my stomach. They got everybody set up for the fall, folks. They're spraying, they're dumping. They got the battle zone going. But here's the deal, folks. All you got to do is say no. You say, hell no, we're not going to eat the tumors. I'm not sending my son off to battle to go fight your proxy wars. I'm not going to let you spray this shit in my backyard. You're not coming on my property to install this weaponry. I'm not bringing this weaponry into my house. I'm not going to fall for the fact that you're setting up these outbreaks. You're sitting here in your white coats with your MD initials and your stethoscope wrapped around your neck that you still didn't take off your neck, even though you had it on in the shower this morning. And you sit here and tell me with all of your education credentials, you still can't figure out why these kids are getting paralyzed? And yet, we have medical professionals and government officials and scientists that literally are stuck on stupid, that won't say a word about the fact that the 1080, the sodium fluoroacetate biological poisoning agent that's being used on New Zealand's population, the effects in the soil hasn't been studied since 1966. Do you know what they were doing in 1966, folks? Do you know what they were doing in 1966? They were still trying to figure out whether they should put 1 or 2 lines out of the brake master cylinder on an automobile in case one of the brake lines went out. There'd be some sort of fail-safe redundancy so the pedal wouldn't go to the floor. That's how ass-backwards technology was back then. Folks, if you had a 1966 automobile and one of your 4 brake lines went out, you lost your whole hydraulic system because they were so stupid back then with the engineering and the technology that they didn't have a dual chamber on the brake master cylinder on a car. And yet that's the last time they looked at what sodium fluoroacetate did to the soil, and yet the New Zealand government under the Department of Conservation has been dumping tens of thousands of pounds of this shit out of helicopters all over the country for 30 years. In the meantime, Newsweek or whatever, these worthless jokes of... Have you ever seen Newsweek lately? It's like 5 pages now. It's like... Nobody reads this crap. But yet they got the news feeds monopolized because in the video section, those are the only things that come up now when you search something, is what they consider real news, not fake news. They consider this channel fake news. So they're telling, Newsweek and Time and CNN and Fox, which is owned by the Disney Channel now, all these media outlets that are all in on the destruction of humanity because they all serve Satan. The people that run these news outlets serve the devil, folks. They're all telling you that there's this mystery illness that's affecting children and not to be afraid because it's rare, but this is normal. And the doctors can't figure out the cause. And now we've got these kids that can't walk and they can't digest their food and they can't move their hands or their legs. They just wake up one day and they just can't move. And we got this flesh-eating bacteria hitting these people in Australia. And the helicopters are flying over New Zealand, dumping all this poison everywhere. And there's all these tropical mosquitoes in Southern California that magically flew 10,000 miles from the equator and landed in my backyard right next to my swimming pool, hanging out on my kumquat trees when it's 50 degrees outside. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. And their solution to these problems that they create is to kill us with chemical poisoning, pesticide poisoning, forced vaccinations, forced radiation. Every solution they have to a problem is more weaponry. Oh, we've got an energy crisis. Let's use these LED lights everywhere. That makes you destroy your circadian rhythm, and it gives them the black body radiation monitoring system that they can put into place. And once the 5G comes in, they can have a 3D image of everything, night and day. Oh, well, we have these diseases reemerging, so we've got to poison the water. We've got to put sodium fluoride and stannous fluoride and chloramine and bromine and bromine, all these compounds in the water because we got a problem with the water, so they weaponize the water. Oh, we got a problem with tooth decay because children are eating candy cigarettes for breakfast. Yeah, remember those when you were a kid? Children are eating Crunch Berries, which really first do the enamel of your teeth crunching when you eat it. And Lucky Charms and Count Chocula and Boo Berry and Reese's Peanut Butter Cereal. And so these children are having cavities, so we got to weaponize the toothpaste. Have you ever read the ingredients of Crest? I mean, sodium lauryl sulfate in your mouth? Are you freaking kidding me? Sodium saccharin, sucralose. I remember growing up, saccharin had a cancer label on it. Sucralose, hydrated silica. Since when is silica something you're supposed to put in your body? Stannous fluoride? Are you kidding me? I mean, come on, folks. That's the Poison Control Center stuff. People are putting this stuff in their mouth. They weaponize the toothpaste. So we got this communicable disease outbreak that doesn't exist. And so what do? They weaponize medicine. Oh, you got to take these shots. That's right. They want you to take vaccines. Did I forget the natural flavor in Crest? Oh, no, yeah, that's supposed to be a cover story for 65,000 different chemical compounds. Natural flavors, folks. Look out for them. I'm sorry, I can't take this anymore. What are they going to come up with tomorrow? Frankenstein falling out of the sky? I mean, seriously. What's next? What the heck is next, folks? They're going to keep pushing until you all wake up out of your slumber. I don't give a damn if the Dodgers won a baseball game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Why does everybody care about a baseball team when their kids have been injected with cancer viruses? Why does everybody care about the score of a baseball team when everybody's moms and wives are falling apart? They're addicted to frosting and sugar and the caramel macchiato corn syrup infusion from Starbucks. You know what the Starbucks logo is, folks? That's a siren. You know what a siren is? That was the mermaid that used to lure the men to run the ship into the rocks and kill everybody. It's a sign of female superiority and a symbol of the destruction of man, folks. And it's actually destroying the women because the product Starbucks sells makes all the women fat and unhealthy. I'm just telling you the facts, folks. Why does it matter what the statistics of a playoff series is while the men are guzzling down phytoestrogen-laced, carbonated, bone-dissolving, beer-busting, belly-busting beer that's full of hops, that feminizes men, that emasculates men, that causes all kinds of chronic degenerative conditions in men, because men are not supposed to be consuming high levels of phytoestrogens. Why does it matter whether the Dodgers hit a home run in the 4th or the 9th or whoever they were playing, if they were playing the Colorado Rockies? I don't even know who they're playing, for crying out loud. I didn't watch this stupid game. I don't have time for that crap. You guys are sitting there being preoccupied with a bunch of meaningless bread and circus bullshit while you're growing ding-dong boobs from your beer drinking, and your women are being turned into something that they're never supposed to look like by all the products at Smart and Final and at the bakery aisle at Albertsons, folks. It's not right. In the meantime, your children are staring Fortnite in the face, getting all that blue light destroying their eyes, making them go blind. And your daughters are sitting there with that iPad in their laps, burning up their ovaries, destroying their eggs. You think I'm crazy? Look at the FullertonInformer.com. Look at WiFiDangers.com. Look what the iPad's doing to your daughters as you're worried about the sports, folks. Come on, you men. Wake up. Come on, man. Wake up. Seriously, ladies and gentlemen, why does it matter what the score of the Dodger game is when the 5G systems are going in and they know that this millimeter wave technology is literally crowd control and surveillance? Why does it matter what the deal is with the ball game, folks, when they're turning you all into a bunch of boneheads with all the programming? You know, I read these political ads that are coming in the mail. I kid you not, folks. I read these things and they're geared to like a 5th grade level. Is that what they've done to all of you? Have they turned you all into a bunch of frickin' morons already? Huh? Why is it that when I go to a store, I see some guy with a table out front telling me, hey, come get your free phone, and I say, that phone ain't free, pal. I had to pay a shitload of taxes last year so you could sit out here and give all these bums that want to smoke dope in front of the 99-cent store a free phone. That's right. That's right, and they go in there with their food stamps, they buy a bunch of candy bars, a bunch of junk food, and a bunch of crap on my dime. Nothing's free, folks. I'll tell you what's free. I'll tell you what's free, folks. Nothing. Nothing, because they take everything from us. They tell everybody else it's free so they can keep taking it from us. No. I was at the 99-cent store the other day. Like I said, I like going there. They got good stuff in there. Not everything in there is good, but, you know, there's these homeless guys out there smoking pot. I'm with my daughters, and there's these bums out there smoking frickin' dope and right outside the door, and they're signing up for the free cell phones. Oh, so we just want to do drugs and not work and get everything for free? Yeah, that's right. And when it comes time to go to bed, because we have to go to work, then they get to break into our cars and steal all our stuff and go through our backyards and rip stuff off from us. Unbelievable. And you know, I'm not against smoking marijuana, but for crying out loud, do it in your living room. You don't see people out there drinking beer and shooting heroin, right? Why is it okay to smoke dope in front of a grocery store? It's not, folks. And you know what's hilarious? They got these homeless shelters at these churches, you know? Oh, these phony pastors. Oh, we gotta love your community. Oh, yeah, so you let the guys sleep there. They're doing drugs at church. That's right. That's right, folks. The church lets the homeless people smoke pot at church. How in the world are we going to solve a problem when you enable people to continue to be losers? Well, that's because these churches are a bunch of crooks. And they're run by a bunch of thieves and con men. And they want you to think that they just stole all. They don't want you to think that they don't want you to realize that they just stole all your money. And they think that all the money you gave them that they actually stole from you is actually going to a good purpose. What, to let the homeless people crash out and do dope and slam heroin on church property? Are you kidding me? Those guys need to dry out, clean up. And maybe we could put them to work. There's plenty of things to do. They could be walking around cleaning the streets, picking up trash. You know, instead what they're doing is they're filling the streets with trash. But that's okay. The Dodger game's on. And as long as you got enough money for that next bong rip and that next 12-pack, It doesn't matter, right, guys? Wrong! Get off that shit! And wake up and look what's happening to your community. Look what's happening to your family. Look what's happening to your nation. And look what's happening to your family, the human race, folks. It's being destroyed. It's being destroyed, ladies and gentlemen. And that's because all you care about is yourself. All you care about is your little family, your little circle. You don't care about other people. What did Jesus say when that guy came to him in the middle of the night? The guy was a coward. He didn't want to come during the day to go hang out with Jesus. He was afraid to be seen with Jesus. What did he say? Lord, what must I do to inherit eternal life? And he told him. And he didn't want to hear it because it involved sticking your neck out for other people. So you can't just live for yourself, folks. You can't just live for yourself, because you know what ends up happening when you build yourself a little fortress around your house and you wall off everything and you arrange your whole life around you? You know what happens? All those Wi-Fi frequencies end up bouncing back and forth off of your walls and irradiating your kids. You end up with autistic kids, and you end up with kids with all kinds of health problems. They can't digest their food because their intestinal flora has been selectively killed off by the Wi-Fi repeater that you stuck in the living room because you want to watch Netflix while you're taking a dump. That's right. That's right. And so all you care about is money and yourself, and so you continue doing the job that you have, even though it's an evil job working for the government, hurting people. That's right. You know the only loser in that whole thing is you and your kids. It's the truth, folks. Australia's got flesh-eating bacteria in the mosquitoes. When are we going to get ours, folks? When are they going to roll it out here? Well, it depends. It depends on how well the success rate is with the mosquitoes carrying West Nile is in Newport Beach and in Irvine and Tustin and other cities. And if they can't freak people out enough to accept the spraying, then they'll bring some other nasty stuff in here to make everybody freak out more. And they'll crank up the cell tower frequencies and make everybody have these paralytic symptoms and blame it on some boogeyman pathogen and say we need more polio shots, right? Look, folks, that's enough. You need to wake up! You need to wake up, folks. I'm sick of it. You should be sick of it. You should be mad. You should not be happy with what's going on. And you shouldn't sit back and ignore the plight of your brethren across the ocean. Because you're next. You're next, ladies and gentlemen. You see this? You better read it. You better get right with Jesus Christ, because your day is coming. They got plans, folks. And their plans aren't good. Their plans are to get rid of you, but only with your help. That's their plan. They want you doing it to yourself. And you know what? You might be stupid enough, but I'm not going to have any part of letting you. God bless, and we'll see you guys later.